Well, Governor John Hickenlooper joins us right now in the studio. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We know how busy you are. And now that the rain is tapering off a little bit, what's your biggest challenge today?
Well, the highest priority is to try and, weather permitting, get these helicopters back up in the air. We've got 5 helicopters on loan now from Wyoming, so we had 16 or 17 most of the day on Saturday, and we evacuated over 2,000 or almost 2,000 people. I mean, that's a good day's work. So the goal there is first search and rescue, but at the same time that's going on, we've got a whole group. We've got 3 engineers from Vermont. Governor Shumlin has loaned us their top 3 guys who helped with the aftermath of Hurricane Irene, rebuilding bridges and roads, because we've got to start planning that, right? It's got to happen even as we're saving, making sure that we're saving, getting everybody out of harm's way. We've got to be ready to get building fast, and we're going to rebuild better than we were before, and we're going to do it fast and inexpensively, right? There's not a lot of money in the federal budget or the state budget.
We typically here in Colorado, and we've dealt with a lot of forest fires and wildland fires, but this is something a little different for us. How is it different for you guys tackling this?
Well, if there's a silver lining, and it's a pretty thin silver lining, we've had a lot of practice in the last 18 months in Colorado with first responders, and how do we integrate the local municipal and the county and the state response and make sure the federal resources are there. Our response for this event was, 2 years ago we could have never done this, and we had military assets in use within 24 hours. We had everyone, FEMA, on board and focused within 12 hours. The federal government's been great. Our first responders, look at the National Guard, those guys, Joe Pelly up in Boulder County. What a job all these local, public servants have done.
And you mentioned the National Guard. Can you tell us a little bit about the rescue efforts these folks are dealing with?
Well, we were up there Saturday. I organized a flight to make sure that we could take Senator Udall and Senator Bennett, and then also our congressional representatives. We had Jared Polis and Ed Perlmutter and Cory Gardner. And, we had a Black Hawk helicopter. We were going up and down these canyons just to look at, road you've seen it, all the shots ripped out, people just completely isolated. And, we saw some people down there, and Congressman Gardner is obviously a very good hunter. You could see that they were waving, and our National Guard pilot and his team were able to land on a postage stamp. Right? I mean, we were on a bit of road that was all washed away. The big Thompson was raging beside us, and yet we rescued 6 people, a dog, and a cat.
Oh.
It's got to be. I mean, it is heartbreaking when you see this from the sky. You talked about there's a lot of small towns that are completely devastated. What's been the most impactful to you?
Well, to me, and you see this again and again, right, that our bridges are broken, our roads are broken, but our spirit's not broken, right? And even as you see visually, as you fly over this and you get this sense of the devastation and how isolated so many people are, even in that isolation, we're coming together, right? And recovery is not going to be partisan. It's not going to be Republican or Democrat. It's going to be Colorado United. We're going to be focused on, how do we get this done, rebuilt better and faster, and getting the best value for our dollar. And the only way you can do that is getting everybody together.
And you're mentioning faster. I mean, the images we're seeing are just unbelievable. Do you have any kind of timeline or any idea how long this could take us?
Well, certainly people have talked about, well, this will take a year and a half. We don't have a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
So we have the Governor Shumlin from Vermont, an old friend of mine. They went through Hurricane Irene, so at 11 o'clock this morning, 3 of their top engineers that learned all the best practices, what not to do, what to do, and they were able to come in about half of what they originally thought their cost would be. Really by just trying a lot of innovations and new ideas. And that's our goal. I mean, we don't have any time. We know that, think about the kids, right?
Yeah.
We got to get these kids, either if they're going to go back into their old home and back in their old school, we got to get them in place in real time, like in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So wherever possible, we're going to be talking in weeks. Obviously, some of these larger bridges, the road beds, you've seen some of these roads, it's gone from road to completely river.
Yeah.
That's going to take a little longer time.
My goodness.
Well, Governor John Hickenlooper, we appreciate your time coming in here. A lot of work ahead for the state, but as you mentioned, thank goodness Coloradans very resilient and willing to rebuild.
Exactly.